anymore. There's not so much done as talked about. Time was, a lot of us thought of it as a point of pride or entertainment, this sticking it to them we did. There was Charlie, 6'0" in his boots, black hair and lazy reeds over his eyes. There was Enid in a blue raincoat, Enid with the paint-spattered pants and the clove-scented sleeves. There was Riley. Riley, 2 times the man of any of us. And there was me, Billy Boy, brought up as well as could be expected, brought up as quietly as possible, brought up in a shiny white room with a comfortable bed and clean pillowcases. I saw a group, top to bottom, and there was a top, and there was certainly a bottom. Me, Billy Boy, always on the bottom. And when it wasn't nothing but talking for too long, I pushed buttons, Charlie's buttons, biggest in the group. Believe you me, easy to push. I told him we never do anything but talk and drink those beers you bring. Riley said, "What's wrong with the beers? And why don't you shut it, Billy Boy?" And Charlie, he was quiet. Blue Enid, he asked what we should do. And Charlie sipped his beer and slipped the excess from the ditch that circled the top of the can. You know how it collects up there. And then he asked what the hell Billy Boy thought we should do. I said tonight we should go out and break every damn window on 3rd Street. And Charlie, top dog, he decided that was a pretty good idea. So that's what we did. At 3 a.m., we met at one end of 3rd, passed out the baseball bats and hammers, and went to work. Anymore when I think about it, and anymore when I think of what it is that heaven must be like, or I think about that hour on 3rd Street, where the glass shattered and fell like snow and caught the light glittery. I think of Enid's pirate cackle and the spray of glass from the end of his hammer. I think of Riley skipping around from hardware store to the gypsy bar, uncontained. I think of Charlie patting me on the back, filling my ear with all kinds of praise. I think of the glass crunching under my boot, again like a snow new fallen, unsullied. And no one got caught, and the police never showed, and that was just right. And anymore, it's talk, talk, talk.
I am the tree without which there would be no glasses. I am the dancer who demands asparagus. Anything that is membrane, insane. Awesome. Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain, in the brain. Yeah, insane. Oh, insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. It's just another body voodoo. You heard it here first.
Wriggling through inchoate, anti-authoritarian political consciousness, a gross underestimation of the seriousness of technocracy, an ironic substitution of rational technological control for the farmful, sheepish, glandular waistcoat lolzerpine. The new script, a set of solutions devised by a group of people to meet specific problems with accumulation patterns. A soft song, a message well thought out and ill-delivered, the strange integers of a code that can be interpreted semiotically.
was well underway by the time we realized it had even begun. Sherman's luck. It wasn't the sort of luck at first that jumps up and makes you take notice. It was all slither sneaky like Sherman. We should have known. But a penny here, a nickel there, and who's going to bat an eye at an old man turning in a big bag of coins for a short stack of quick, clean baby bills? Even when he turned and bought a round down at Targey's, why, we took it in stride. Some part of each one of us feeling we were owed that we had it coming. It wasn't until the third night running that someone made a half-hearted stink, someone who'd missed the second round, wondering out loud why there was anything to miss in the first place. Turns out old Sherman couldn't take 5 steps without spotting the shine-blinding slap of a U.S. mint metal disc, smiling up at him, eager to be added to the pockets of his cheap, worn-out suit. And even then, it was an oddity, sure, but not one of us stopped to think about where, if all this change was being directed, okay, by some cosmic force into Sherman's increasingly well-tailored pockets, those coins might be coming from. Because the air was not so thin those days. There was something in it. Some of us argue that if we'd seen it early on, caught some glimpse of the shift that was occurring, we could have somehow moved to prevent or derail it, perhaps through mimicry or sheer proximity. Others, fatalistic, hold fast to the notion that although we could have avoided particulars, the generalities were inescapable and moved toward, over, and beyond us like weather. Still others have no opinion, for fear that such a possession might be interpreted as presumption, and serve only to anger further whatever God above it was to whom Sherman alone knew how to pray. From nickels and dimes came new clothes and new opportunity, a haircut, a shave, and Sherman was picked up by a local paper in some brand-dandy promo for the mayor, small, small man, who boosted himself roundabout by brushing up against lucky man Sherman. The vote came easy. Sponsorships, private clubs, courts watches with his smiling mug, visits to grade school classrooms on the benefits of keeping your eyes open and your thinking hat on. We'd watch him drive away waving, arm out the limo window like a scarf. When the first bad weather hit, it lifted a few roofs, killed a few pets, and flooded someone's 4-car garage. Sherman came around to survey the damage, and his aide took quick little notes for Sherman's own home, the buff and level of the ground line, the make and mold of the brick. But he didn't weigh in too heavily. He was nothing new. And we dressed our wounds and carried back on. We had lives to live, rain or shine. We had meals to prepare. The first sign of anything was like no sign at all.
A small boy in a red turtleneck is playing with a traffic jam of plastic cars. He has them in a semicircle around him, arranged carefully, all at about the same distance. The stiff length of his right arm is his protractor. He considers them quietly. He is, suddenly, brushed by a baby in a turquoise shirt and gray shorts. The baby has an almost fully consumed ear of corn in his little hand that he will not let go. He leans in and agitates the cars. The boy is passive, does nothing but watch. The baby and his corn rush away, every step a little fall forward, his feet slapping the hardwood floor. The boy watches him run off, looks at me, and shrugs. He tries a squarish pattern. The baby returns, carried less than an inch off the ground by his armpits. The sister has him. My brother Sasha has a car just like that, she says. The baby makes a grab for a car and throws it against the window. The boy is quiet, patient, serene, resigned, observant, and content. The little girl is not much older than the boy, and both are only 3 or 4 years from the baby. Niblets of corn are scattering the floor next to the cars. The baby rushes off in a flurry. The girl chatters a little to the boy, who listens but does not respond. It takes her a few minutes to notice, but when she does, she leans in and asks, "Can you talk?" "Can you talk?" she asks, again and again, leaning in closer and closer. She says it sweetly, varying which word she emphasizes. "Can you talk? Can you talk? Can you talk?" He doesn't say anything, just smiles more and more brightly as she leans in closer and closer and closer. Years from now, I think, they will be very good at flirting. They smile at one another. The baby returns, the panic of noise and clumsy limbs.
That's the smart people. The voice of an angel, my gentlemen and ladies. The face of an angel, right there. Ah, she's adorable. This is catastrophic. I wish I knew more about catastrophe theory, and then I could espouse how some sort of planes and... Oh, now she's looking at me. I can't...
Some difficulties arise, immediate and dire. These executive orders to pardon any sources aforehand, the measured indifference of old financial families, architecture as opaque as the social relations which have produced them. What rough horse the snorting beast has chained below him, an advertising sexuality of proliferation and plasticity, stylistic promiscuity favoring eclecticism and the mixing of codes, an election machine unbought in its vagaries and autism. The first strikes are always the deepest internal scores.
At long last, I am able to say a few words of my own. I have never wanted to withhold anything. But until now, it has not been constitutionally possible for me to speak. A few hours ago, I discharged my last duty as king and emperor. And now that I have been succeeded by my brother, the Duke of York, my first words must be to declare my allegiance to him. This I do with all my heart. You all know the reasons which have impelled me to renounce the throne. But I want you to understand that in making up my mind, I did not forget the country or the empire, which, as Prince of Wales and lately as king, I have for 25 years tried to serve. But you must believe me when I tell you that I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love. And I want you to know that the decision I have made has been mine and mine alone. This was a thing I had to judge entirely for myself. The honor person most nearly concerned has tried up to the last to persuade me to take a different course. I have made this the most serious decision of my life, only upon the single thought of what would, in the end, be best for all. This decision has been made less difficult to me by the sure knowledge that my brother, with his long training in the public affairs of this country, and with his fine qualities,
But by the third storm, we began to take notice. His large, lonesome house, cliff-sitting above the town, went virtually untouched. Its smiling dormers seemed to jeer. We'd break from the work of rebuilding our town and gaze up to measure Sherman's own work against ours, how his stories lifted like layer cake into the air. We'd stare into the television to mark his steady growth, how his face appeared beside the spin-winning lotto numbers, the announcer now on friendly terms. Some of us turned up the volume, still believing that Sherman, like a star athlete, spoke for the rest of us, while others turned the channel scornfully, feeling no such connection. The rest went plainly about their chores, hoping patience would pay the highest dividends.
My face starts falling off in smaller and then larger pieces. You suggest we sit in a corner. Your friends find us anyway, and you tell them you aren't allowed any input on what I look like. He's not my boyfriend, you tell them. The waiter brings a towel and ice cubes. He offers to keep the pieces in the refrigerator until we're finished, but I tell him I'll keep them here in my lap, thanks. Your friends steal glances at the pieces while we take turns ordering. They are curious what I look like, of course, even if I'm not your boyfriend. After the waiter leaves, one of them offers to help me put the pieces back on. Just as I'm declining, you blurt, "Let's all do it." Take 4 pieces from my lap and pass them around. Everybody looks at my head, then at the piece in their hands. What have you got? I think it's a chin. What's that? I guess it's his mouth. Wow. Jesus. I know. I always thought there was more to it than that. Look at it. It's just 2 little strips. Put it on him. It feels like you're pressing lumps of cold fruit onto my head. You feel the rest of the room watching our table. You pull your hands away and remark how I resemble the Rocky Horror poster. The waiter comes back with our food, and I stare at him, hoping to get his attention because I want to ask him for that towel, but do it without saying anything, without drawing any attention to myself. But without eyes, he can't tell if I'm looking at him. Your friends hand the remaining pieces of my face back to me. The food is here, and you all agree the mouth is good enough for now. Yeah, a voice without a mouth is kind of spooky. Are you sure you don't want a towel? Yes, please. The motion of just 2 lips on my blank head makes you all laugh. Sometime later, you all notice that your meals look different, though everybody ordered the special La Cara de Dios. When the waiter returns to see how everything is, you point to your plate and ask him, "Is this La Cara de Dios? And if it is, what's this? And what's this?" The waiter looks confused, shakes his head, and goes back to the kitchen to check with the cook. When he returns, he's smiling confidently and tells us all, "La Cara de Dios will not fit on a single plate. You each have a piece of it." "What's the whole thing look like?" you ask. "I have no idea," he says. "Don't you have it sitting on a table in the back or something? Where did you get these pieces?" "From the refrigerator." "The refrigerator? It nearly burned my tongue. Would you like me to put it in a while longer? If there's a problem, I can get you something else." You all decide no, there's no problem, just wondering. Everybody lights cigarettes and sits quietly, watching people eat, watching ceiling fans whirl slowly. "What does it mean?" you ask, and whisper it up into the air. "La Cara de Dios. What a weird name for a dish." You lean back and lay your arm on my shoulders. "Do you want us to finish with your face?" I tell you to finish your cigarette and push your hands away and grab your wrists, and you laugh and tell your friends to get them. Everybody stands up and moves in on me, one behind me gripping my shoulders and neck, one on each arm, and you're telling me to relax between bursts of laughter. You snatch a piece from my lap and hold it up in front of us. "What do you think?" "Left cheek, definitely." And just then, everybody's face starts falling off, yours too, all the pieces dropping into my lap. You all panic as if your hands have fallen off, grabbing at pieces of face and slapping them back onto your heads. It sounds like a dozen galoshes stomping and slipping in mud, and by the end of it, you all look ridiculous. Pieces of each other's cheeks on your foreheads, noses dangling from your chins, and not one of you with a matching set of eyes. The waiter comes back and everybody sits down, quick and quiet. He asks if anyone would like coffee or tea. You blurt out with your two new bottom lips, "Pea, I would like pea, green pea." My left eye's on your chin, looking all around, confused. "No," the waiter says, "I'm sorry, we don't have any of that kind of tea." Your friends stand up one by one, drop $10 bills on the table and tell you goodbye, pantomiming cell phones with thumbs and pinkies. You tell me come on, grab my wrist and pull me out of there, out into the middle of the road. Car horns squawk and swoosh past us like giant metal birds. We are stumbling in the rain, two bloody-faced monsters, hunched over and clutching each other, blurry up ahead.
But things grew steadily worse. The local economy, rut-gutted by the scourge of weather disasters and resulting disarray, left us with only our misfortune to mind. We became obsessed with it, tracing it toward the past. Looking back, we saw our houses being rebuilt, our town growing quiet and losing the reckless rumble of thunder that broke ceaselessly above our heads. We saw our schools back in session and our jobs back in state, and grew dizzy with euphoria by just the simple fact of our then unremarkable lives. We saw Sherman innocently picking up his first quarter, and grew dizzy for different reasons. After the decision had been made, no one owned up to having introduced the idea. We sat quietly among the ruins of our unhappy homes, rebuilding efforts to capture the collapse of earlier attempts, themselves lying abandoned to either side. We tried to make peace with the solution we'd selected. No one could deny the connection between those first few coins collecting in Sherman's pockets and the fuzz logic of forgetting where we'd placed our own change, how we'd managed to spend it all so soon. Those coins had been ours at one point, after all. What appeared to be luck, this loose term loosely related to a man among us but not ourselves, was surely in fact not luck itself, but the lack thereof, spread even against us like an angry hand. We had to free ourselves. On our march up the hill to his house, many people lost their lives. So weakened by the daily battle just to keep pace with the extra dose of daily misfortune, even some of the least unlucky met with unforeseen obstacles, twisted ankles, tramplings, lightning strikes, and we weren't yet halfway up. By the time we entered Sherman's house, our ranks were dwindled, our bodies failing, but our intentions were strong and unwavering. We made our way through the house, the stories growing beneath us like a growl. People fell down the stairs, from balconies, out of windows. His study was at the top. When we reached the final room, we expected some final obstacle, some unsuspected ill fate, but found none. Instead, we found Sherman, sitting in an easy chair with his name embroidered across the top, brass knobs down each side, a comfortable smile perched on the end of his lips. His eyes stared forward into nothing. Some felt unnerved by this sight, by Sherman's smile. Some felt his death more strongly than that of those who died around us on our way, or over time. Some felt nothing. We put down our weapons, blew out our torches, and sat in a circle around our past expatriate. Our mission was complete. We experienced no immediate change, but felt we should give it some time. Soon, we agreed, our luck would be restored.
My name is Jimmy Carter, and I'm running for president.